All right, guys, today we're gonna talk about my secret refeed strategy to get leaner faster, achieve a very low body fat, and not have any of the downsides of cutting or being very lean. And those downsides can include lower strength, muscle loss, lower energy, lower sex drive, etc., etc. So this is some really cool stuff. And this is not that important when you're 16% body fat, 25%. This stuff becomes important when you're trying to get very lean, when you want to get below 12%, when you want to get to single digit body fat. This is where this approach is actually pivotal. When you have more fat to lose, when you're above 12% body fat, your body has more fat availability and you don't have to worry about this refeed strategy as much. It's more of a psychological break, if you will. But no question about it, cutting to 6, 7, 8% body fat is very different than cutting to 15% body fat or even 12%. Because when you have less fat available on your body, you have to be very careful about how big of a calorie deficit you do, how long you stay in a calorie deficit, or your body will fight back because it is wired for survival. Now, the first thing that I want to mention, of course, is that traditionally in the fitness industry, if you follow the different fitness experts and coaches and X, Y, and Z, it's very common to have something known as the weekly refeed. So the weekly refeed is where once a week, you increase your calories, you eat higher calories, you get that weekly higher calorie day to help, boost leptin, replenish your glycogen, X, Y, and Z. This is very common. You'll see a lot of fitness experts talk about, instead of it being the cheat day once a week, it has become the refeed day once a week, which is the refeed day essentially. A cheat day in the past was like, oh, you eat whatever you want, eat anything. A refeed day is a bit more strategic, where you're actually trying to purposely, with intent, take in more calories and carbs for the goal of replenishing glycogen, boosting leptin, trying to keep your metabolism running pretty fast. Now, other experts like Martin Berkhan of Lean Gains, he traditionally would have people do 4 days on rest days of lower calories, and on the 3 training days, you would eat at a slight surplus. So you'd actually pretty much have like 3 days a week in a slight surplus and then 4 days a week in a bigger deficit, such that like you're in maybe a 2,000 calorie weekly surplus. So you're in enough of a surplus, you're in a 2,000 calorie weekly deficit. So you're in enough of a deficit to actually lose half a pound. I tried that approach and I found it really freaking difficult. I found it really hard to stick to. I didn't like it. I didn't see very good results because it just is impossible to build momentum. Here's the deal. Eating a calorie deficit is hard. For most people, it's difficult. For most people, you actually have to fucking train yourself to be in that calorie deficit each day. And so when you're going back and forth between eating higher calories, lower calories, sometimes people get headaches doing that if you're doing that too much. But it can make it harder to like get in the groove of eating 2,200 calories per day. So I found that like trying to do 3 higher calorie days and 4 lower days was so much harder to lean down than it needed to be. When I did that, I couldn't do it well, and I'm just kind of gaining weight. Now, the weekly refeed I've done for a while. I've done it successfully, but again, it made fat loss a lot harder than it needed to be. Now, why is that? Because every time that Friday or Saturday would roll around and I'd take my calories from 2,300 up to 3,000, the next day I found it harder to go back to 2,300. And what I actually found, this is what I share in Movie Star Body, what I found is that it's actually easier to just stay in the deficit. Stay in the calorie deficit every day. Don't do a massive deficit. Do something where you can actually enjoy it every day after you adapt to it after the first few days, and then ride that wave. If you're feeling good, your strength's good, your energy's good, and you're not feeling that hungry, why would you want to bump up your calories? It doesn't make sense. Like, ride that wave. Everything's working perfectly. I find you really get good momentum. Like when you're like most people do 6 days and they bump up the calories. After that 7th, 8th, 9th day, things really fall into place. And what I've noticed is that fat loss always seemed to move a little bit slower when I did that weekly refeed. Even like slower than what would make sense on paper. And then when I scrapped the refeed, it was almost like 2 weeks in. So a lot of times that weight would just kind of start like really dropping. And it was very cool to see. So I actually don't do a weekly refeed. I tell people, look, if you find that once a week literally messes with your momentum and makes it harder the next day, get rid of that. And for a lot of people, it's been a massive game changer where boom, like, whoa, fat loss is moving a lot faster. And then they get that momentum and then things are really moving quickly and they get locked into that calorie level. And that's the freaking goal. Now recently, okay, I've cut from 182 to literally 174 pounds. I got really freaking damn lean. I got so lean that I was like, okay, like the weight came off quite fast now. Even though I was doing the 400 calorie deficit, the weight came off really fast where my goal is 177. I got to 177. I'm like, let's see what happens if I stay in this. And then, you know, pretty quickly I hit 174. Now, interesting enough, I started my cut a while ago and I just spent the first couple months just kind of getting in the groove, not really losing weight, just kind of staying around the same. And then once you get really locked in, once you stop messing around, then boom, the weight comes off. So I'm not perfect. When I go on a cut, a lot of times the first month, I'm not even hitting that deficit. I'm just kind of like getting my body ready, figuring out a couple more things, then boom. So I never get guilty if I go over my calories. I'm like, okay, let's learn from this. Let's get in the groove. And then boom, let's hit the ground running by this day. Like by a month in on a cut, you better hit the ground running. But it's okay in the beginning just to kind of get in the groove. But, you know, the point though is that I've cut to 174. And that's when I started to be like, okay, you know what? Maybe like maybe this is a bit too lean. Maybe I'm starting to feel a bit flatter. You know, my muscles don't feel as full. Maybe my sex drive is going to start to come down again, down a little bit. And I'm like, hey, we need to do something here. And that's where I like to do a 3-day refeed. Okay. And interestingly enough, the research on doing a single day refeed may not even have it's not clearly increasing leptin. Doing one high calorie day doesn't do that much for your leptin levels. I actually find 3 days in a row works really, really good at getting that metabolism going again, at boosting leptin, at getting the sex drive back. 1 day is not enough. You don't need to do it for 3 weeks straight, but 3 days in a row is actually very, very good. So I actually recommend, you know, hitting that cut very well. And if you're super lean, maybe every 3 weeks, you do 3 days in a row at a surplus, 300 to 500 calories above your maintenance. And that will replenish you. That will boost leptin. That will increase your sex drive. Your muscles will be recharged, refueled, and you'll feel fuller. And then you'll find that if you found like your appetite was starting to pick up because you're getting so lean and your body was fighting back, then you're ready to hit the ground running. You're ready to go right back into that cut. And that might be why sometimes that single day just kind of messes with you because it doesn't really serve a purpose. 1 day is not enough to boost leptin. And then you're just kind of like just jumping in and out. But when you do 3 days in a row, your body's okay, we got a lot. Our leptin levels are good. There's no food shortages. We're ready to get back into that cut. So 3 days. So every 3 weeks, you know, you can do a 3-day refeed. And within those 3 weeks, you should find your weight comes down, you know, a few pounds. So weight might drop 2-3 pounds in those 3 weeks. You do the 3-day refeed and you get back to it. And if you have more fat to lose and if you're feeling great and strength is good, then you can go 5-6 weeks and then do 3 days. But as you get leaner, as you get under 10% body fat, I find like 2-3 weeks of cutting and then a 3-day refeed is perfect. So, you know, you might do a 3-day refeed once a month. At the very most, you might do it twice a month, and that's literally it. And again, I do about 300 to 500 calorie surplus. And so if your maintenance is 2,700 and you normally eat 2,300 on a cut, you might go up to 3,000 or 3,200 calories 3 days in a row, and damn right, you're gonna feel insane. And even if you do a 500 calorie surplus, right? In 3 days, that's only 1,500 calories. That's like less than a pound, less than half a pound of fat. So even if you're doing a nice big surplus on these 3 days, the most amount of fat you'll gain is half a pound, but you won't even gain that because after cutting, your body's just primed to replenish, rebuild muscle tissue. So I very much doubt you're actually gonna put on half a pound of fat. Your body's primed for those calories, but worst case scenario, you gain half a pound of fat, and then in those next 3 weeks, you know, you cut 2.5 pounds, right? At the very least 2 pounds. You're always getting leaner, but your body's not fighting back. And then by doing this, it signals your body, hey, we don't need to shut down testosterone levels. We don't need to drop leptin. We don't need to, you know, start to get ravenous so that we can eat tons of food. It just keeps your body in check by doing that 3-day refeed every 3-4 weeks. And again, your goal should be like every time you do that 3-day refeed, you should be starting that 3-day refeed a couple pounds leaner. 2 or 3 pounds leaner. So if you did your first 3-day refeed at, you know, 180, The next time you're gonna do that 3-day refeed, you should probably be 177, 178 at the max. If you wanna take it really slow, if you wanna take it faster and you got more fat to lose, you could be doing that every 5-6 pounds you cut. Every 5 pounds, you kind of lock that in with that 3-day refeed to boost leptin, bring up testosterone, then you go right back. And this kind of zigzag approach, even though it's not really a zigzag, because it's just 3 short days, really helps you lock in that body fat and actually feel very, very good at that low body fat. You need to signal leptin. You need to eat, more calories or eat maintenance or a bit higher to really stay at that body fat. And then when you cut this way, and let's say you cut down to 6%, it's gonna be so much easier to maintain that body fat than if you tried to do a straight cut. As well, it's gonna help make sure that you maintain muscle, because if you're in a deficit and you're very lean straight for weeks and weeks in a row, you're more likely to have catabolism, muscle breakdown, but that 3-day spike in calories signals better muscle retention. And it signals like your body can maintain this low body fat. So this is the strategy. Hit the 400 calorie deficit. Okay, if you got more fat to lose, you can do a bit bigger 600 calorie deficit, but hit the 400 calorie deficit, lock it in. You want to hit at least 2 weeks in a row, ideally 3, and then you can do a 3-day refeed. And those 3 days, you got to have fun, eat 300 to 500 calories above maintenance. You're gonna feel freaking great, and then after those 3 days, you're probably like, okay, I don't need to keep eating all this food. I feel good. That's a lot, and then your body's like ready to go back into the deficit. So I did this when I was like 174 and a half pounds. I did three higher calorie days at 3,200 calories. And today my weight was 176 and a half. So I gained like 2.5 pounds in those 3 days. Most of that's probably water weight. Most of that is like, is water weight, glycogen, carbs, etc. Maybe more food in my stomach. Maybe there's a little bit of fat gain, maybe a quarter pound. But then, within 1 week, literally within 1 week, I'm gonna be leaner than I was before the refeed. So really powerful stuff. I hope you guys found this effective. There's not too many people pioneering like literally how to actually hit 6-7% body fat, stay at 6-7% body fat, do testosterone tests at 6-7% body fat and have healthy testosterone levels, 600, and really teaching you how to do this. There's a lot of people that get to 5% for a show, but they can't sustain it. They can't live a life. They're not drinking margaritas twice a week while getting to 6% body fat. So I'm showing you guys the path to do it while feeling amazing, keeping your sleep good, your testosterone good, your strength and your performance good, making the lifestyle good, doing all this, getting that movie star look while actually making it part of your life, making it a richer life, not making you freaking suffer. So really hope you guys enjoyed this. If you want to get the full system, check out Movie Star Body. The thing is fucking insane. It's the best system in the world for getting lean. And if you've not tried the motherfucking Kino Octane, again, I push Octane hard because this stuff like fucking is nuts. This stuff improves your workout performance, improves your recovery. There's no crash. And I actually made a huge difference in my cutting potential when I started using our essential amino acids. When we started using Kino aminos during the fast, my hunger is blunted. I'm not as hungry. I can fast longer. I can handle the deficit better, and my strength is better. I retain muscle better when I'm taking Kino aminos while cutting. So actually, those are 2 supplements I really recommend. The Kino Octane pre-workout. If you want to get very, very lean, under 10%, taking a daily dose of essential amino acids during the fast helps feed your muscles so you're not as hungry. It helps with muscle retention. If you don't care about being super lean, aminos probably won't offer you that much. But if you're fasting and your goal is to get super lean, it makes a big difference for me and the people that take it. So check that out. Check out the Octane aminos. Check out Movie Star Body, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.